What if the system you created to protect the world ended up turning against your enemies instead? What if betrayal wasn't your end, but your beginning? This is the story of Elena Ward, a tech visionary who built something too powerful to be stolen. She wasn't loud. She wasn't ruthless. She was prepared. When her idea was hijacked, she didn't fight with lawyers. She fought with code. And the trap she set? It didn't just expose corruption, it redefined power. Stay with me, because the way she turned betrayal into control will leave you speechless. And before we dive in, subscribe to this channel so you don't miss what happens next. Elena Ward was at the top of her game. She walked away from a high-paying job at Microsoft, drawn to a fast-growing startup called Titan Tech. It was promising, ambitious, and full of potential. The perfect place to bring her cybersecurity invention to life, Sentinel Shield, an AI system capable of detecting and neutralizing cyber attacks before they even started. She gave it everything: 18 months, sleepless nights, pure obsession. And just when it was ready, the CEO, Brandon Holt, made his move. He tried to erase her from her own creation. Brandon, charming on the surface, cold underneath, called her into a meeting with the company's lawyer. They slid a contract across the table, claiming that Sentinel Shield, the very system she'd dreamed up long before joining the company, now belonged entirely to Titan Tech. All because she built it using their resources. And just like that, they fired her, offered her a success bonus, as if that could buy silence. $300,000 for $1 billion idea. But Elena wasn't shocked. She was ready. 6 months earlier, she had noticed something strange. A breach. Someone had accessed her development server after hours. No files taken, but it was enough. She knew then, betrayal was coming. And so she started building quiet defenses into Sentinel Shield. Fail-safes, watchdogs, triggers only she knew existed. So when they pushed her out, she didn't panic. She smiled. Because her system wasn't just smart, it was loyal. The next day, Brandon proudly ran a demo of Sentinel Shield to investors. And 10 minutes in, everything unraveled. The system flagged internal threats. It overwhelmed the servers with false positives. It accused Titan Tech's own infrastructure of unethical practices. Brandon thought it was a malfunction, but it wasn't. It was working exactly as Elena had designed it. He had turned on her, but the system had turned on him. That evening, Elena got the call. Brandon's assistant. He wants to see you, now. She arrived at Titan Tech, escorted like a guest in the empire she built. Inside the boardroom, Brandon waited, tie loosened, desperation in his eyes. He demanded answers. "Fix it," he snapped. Elena sat down slowly, calm, confident. "Fix what?" she asked. She hadn't sabotaged anything. She had simply allowed the truth to surface. The truth? Sentinel Shield was built to detect all threats, even internal ones. She had trained it on case studies where companies were attacked from within. She taught it to recognize lies, manipulation, unauthorized access. And now it had flagged Titan Tech itself. Brandon's face turned pale. "You taught it to spy on us?" "I taught it to protect itself," Elena replied. "And me." The system had done exactly what it was supposed to. He tried to intimidate her, saying she couldn't prove anything, but she didn't need to. Sentinel Shield had already compiled logs, every access, every stolen file, every keystroke. The system was its own witness, so she leaned in and gave him a choice. "You want the system back online? You want tomorrow's demo to succeed?" He nodded, silent. "Then here's what I want," she said. And what she asked for changed everything. Want to know what her demands were? Keep watching. She didn't want revenge. She wanted control, full recognition as Sentinel Shield's creator, 50% of all intellectual property and patents, a permanent board seat to oversee ethical use, and $10 million for the attempt to erase her. Brandon called it extortion. She called it protection. He stared at her, knowing she had all the leverage. And slowly, he gave in. She handed him a flash drive, a patch to fix the demo, for now. He reached for it. "You planned this," he muttered. "No," she replied. "I prepared for it." That's the difference. Brandon underestimated her. He thought he was stealing a system, but he didn't know. The system was already watching him. The next morning, Elena returned to Titan Tech, but she wasn't an employee anymore. She walked in as the new co-founder and chief technology officer. She stood beside Brandon as he nervously welcomed investors. This time, the system worked flawlessly. Every simulated attack was neutralized with surgical precision. Sentinel's shield wasn't just functional, it was revolutionary. One investor turned to Brandon impressed. "Who built this?" he asked. Brandon hesitated, then answered, "It was Elena Ward." Elena took the spotlight, answering technical questions with grace. Her phone buzzed with a notification, "Creator authentication restored, threat neutralized." The system had accepted her return because it had always recognized her as its origin. 3 months later, Sentinel Shield stopped a massive cyber attack on a global banking system, preventing over 300 million in damages. The headlines praised the technology. But inside the industry, everyone knew the real force behind it. Elena Ward, the woman who built something too powerful to steal and too protected to corrupt. Elena and Brandon maintained a professional relationship. He focused on business development. She handled innovation. They were not allies, but they were no longer enemies, because Elena had made herself untouchable. Every version of Sentinel Shield now included ethical safeguards, transparency, accountability, and detection protocols, not just against malware, but against misuse of power. Re-engagement moment. Have you ever created something and felt someone trying to take credit for it? This is your reminder. Build your own protection plan. Whether you're an artist, developer, entrepreneur, or dreamer, there are people who will try to steal what they didn't build. But like Elena, you can design your boundaries. Her AI didn't just guard systems, it guarded her legacy. And if you keep watching, you'll see how it changed the industry forever. Because her best move was still to come. As Sentinel Shield expanded globally, Elena enforced strict ethical standards. Every contract included her oversight. Every rollout required transparency clauses. She knew technology alone wasn't enough. You had to protect the people behind it, and that meant protecting yourself. She spoke at conferences, wrote policies, mentored rising engineers, not as a victim, but as a blueprint. A woman who survived the fire and rebuilt it on her own terms. Young developers began seeking her guidance. "How do I protect my ideas?" they'd ask. Her answer was always the same. "Don't just build the code, build the armor around it." She taught them to recognize the signs. When praise feels too sweet, when access is too easy, when power smiles but doesn't blink. Brilliant minds are often targets, but with the right tools, they can become shields, just like Elena. Sometimes she'd wonder, should she have taken it to court, hired lawyers, made a public scandal? But then she remembered, she didn't want a courtroom. She wanted control. She had built something more powerful than a lawsuit. She had built an AI that exposed lies with precision, that protected its creator instinctively, that couldn't be bought, only respected. And now Titan Tech was thriving. Under her rules, the company had gone public, valued at over $4 billion. Elena didn't brag. She didn't throw parties or chase headlines. She led quietly, like she always had. But now, no one questioned her seat at the table, because she didn't just earn it, she designed it and locked it in place. Re-engagement point. Still here? That says something about you. You're not just curious. You're connected to this story. Maybe you've been Elena, maybe you've been betrayed, or maybe you're building something now and wondering who's watching. Take this moment to ask, are you prepared for someone trying to cut you out? Will your work defend you when you're not in the room? Because that's what Sentinel Shield did, and what you can do too, if you're ready. Years passed, but her vision remained clear. Every innovation tied back to integrity. Sentinel Shield grew smarter, faster, stronger, but always with guardrails. Because Elena had learned the hard way. The greatest threats wear suits, not hoodies. They sit in meetings. They praise your work, then quietly sign it as theirs. So she taught her system to see through all of it, just like she had. One night, at a gala, a guest approached her. "You changed the industry," he said. "No," she replied. "I changed my story." Because in the end, this wasn't just about AI. It was about reclaiming ownership, about showing that no matter how deep the betrayal, you can rise without begging, without burning bridges, just by knowing exactly what you're worth. And never letting go of it again. Final re-engagement point. What about your story? Are you protecting your value? Are you ready for the day someone tries to rewrite your role? Let Elena Ward's journey remind you. Power isn't loud, it's precise. Calculated, protected, and if you're still listening, it's because you're ready to build that too. As her journey became public, others began to follow. Engineers, designers, entrepreneurs. They stopped building just for output and started building with boundaries. That's Elena's true legacy, not just Sentinel Shield, but the mindset. It created a world where creators protect themselves before they even launch and never hand over control again. Now, if you've made it to this point, it's because her story spoke to you. So let's turn it around. What are you creating right now that needs protection? A product? A dream? A boundary? Drop it in the comments, because your story matters. Here, and someone out there is facing the same thing. Let's be each other's sentinel. Let's start the conversation. Final CTA. If you found value in this video, subscribe now. Turn on notifications. We share real stories, built on courage, intelligence, and self-defense. No drama, no noise, just truth. Because like Elena Ward, you don't need to yell to be powerful. You just need to be ready. Protect your work, protect your worth, and never let anyone write your story for you.